The night was quiet in the mountain village. Taiho drove his old car slowly on the empty road. He was tired. His shift at the hospital had been long, and all he wanted was to go home and sleep. Taiho was 32 years old. He had worked as a paramedic in Seoul for many years, but the city had broken something inside him. Too many people dying. Too many families crying. So he came back to his hometown, a small village in the mountains of Korea. Here, life was simple. Here, he could breathe again. The road curved through the forest. Taiho turned on some music and tried to relax. Then he saw it. A line of fire cut across the sky. It was not a shooting star. It was too big, too bright, and it was falling. The fire trail stretched across the darkness like a wound in the night. Taiho stopped his car and watched the thing crashed somewhere in the forest. The ground shook. Birds flew away from the trees, screaming into the night. Taiho sat in his car for a moment. He should call someone. The police. The fire department. Anyone. But something pulled at him. His hands moved before his mind could stop them. He turned the car and drove toward the crash. The forest was thick, but he found a path. He drove as far as he could, then walked the rest. His flashlight cut through the darkness. The smell of burning wood filled his nose. And something else. Something strange. Like metal and flowers mixed together. He found the crash site in a small clearing. What he saw made him stop breathing. It was not a plane. It was not a satellite. It was something else entirely. The thing was shaped like a seed, smooth and curved. Its surface looked like metal, but it moved slightly, like it was breathing. Parts of it glowed with a soft blue light that was fading slowly. Taiho had seen many strange things in his life, but nothing like this. He walked closer. The smell was stronger here. He could see that part of the ship had broken open. There was a hole in its side, and from that hole, something was leaking. Something that looked like pale copper paint. Blood. His mind told him it was blood. Taiho's training took over. He was a paramedic. Someone was hurt. It did not matter if that someone was not human. He moved forward and looked inside the broken ship. She was lying on the floor. Her skin was silver white, like moonlight made solid. Her hair was long and dark, spread around her head like a pool of ink. Her eyes were closed, and her face was twisted in pain. She wore clothes that looked like water frozen into cloth, and she was dying. The copper blood was everywhere. It came from a wound in her side. Taiho could see broken metal sticking out of her body. The crash had hurt her badly. He climbed into the ship. The inside was warm and smelled sweet. Strange lights flickered on the walls. He knelt beside the woman and checked her condition. Her breathing was weak. Her pulse was strange, too fast in some places and too slow in others. But she was alive. Barely. A sound made him look up. A small device on the wall was glowing. It made sounds that slowly became words. Help, blood. Compatible? The voice was broken, like a radio with bad signal. Taiho looked around. The ship seemed to understand him somehow. More lights appeared on the wall. They showed pictures he could understand. A body, blood vessels, a transfusion. She needed blood. Her blood type was rare, even for her own kind, and she was running out of time. Then the light showed something that made Taiho's heart stop. A picture of him appeared on the wall. Next to it were words in English. Compatible match found. That was impossible. She was not human. How could his blood work for her? But the ship seemed very sure. The lights blinked urgently. The woman made a small sound of pain. Time was running out. Taiho did not think about it anymore. He was a paramedic. He saved lives. That was what he did. He found medical tools in a cabinet. They were strange, but he understood enough. He cleaned his arm. He found a needle that looked right. The ship seemed to help him, making the tools glow when he chose the correct ones. He put the needle into his arm. He connected himself to her. His blood flowed through a tube and into her body. Red blood from Earth, going into an alien princess from the stars. The effect was immediate. Her breathing became stronger. Her pale face gained some color. The copper blood stopped flowing so fast. She was stabilizing. Taiho felt weak. He had given a lot of blood, but he kept the connection. He watched her face as life returned to it. Then her eyes opened. They were violet. Deep violet, like the sky just after sunset. And they locked onto his face with an intensity that made him freeze. The ship's system suddenly came alive. Every light turned on. Every screen started showing information. A deep hum filled the air, like the ship was waking up from a long sleep. Then a voice spoke. It was not the broken voice from before. This voice was old and powerful, and very serious. "Bond initiated," the voice said. "The human is now blood sworn to the throne of Vel. The ancient covenant is renewed. What was separated is now joined. The blood debt is eternal." Taiho did not understand. He looked at the woman. Her violet eyes were wide with shock. She tried to speak, but no words came out. "What does that mean?" Taiho asked. His voice sounded strange in the alien ship dot. The woman finally spoke. Her voice was weak, but clear. "You saved my life. With your blood. Among my people, this creates a bond that can never be broken." Taiho stared at her. "I was just trying to help." "I know," she whispered. Something like fear and wonder mixed in her violet eyes. "That makes it worse. You did not know what you were doing. You did not want power or reward. You just helped. Is that bad?" She closed her eyes. A tear, clear and silver, ran down her cheek. "No one has done that for a Vel princess in 10,000 years. You may have just changed everything." Outside the ship, the sun was starting to rise. A new day was beginning. But Taiho had a feeling that his quiet life in the mountain village was over forever. Three days passed since the crash. The alien woman was still weak, but she was alive. Taiho had moved her from the broken ship to his small house at the edge of the village. He did not know what else to do. Her name was Yuna. At least, that was the closest sound he could make to her real name. She was a princess of the Vel, a civilization that ruled over 1,000 star systems. She was the fourth daughter of an empress who had lived for 900 years. And now she was lying on Taiho's old couch, wrapped in his grandmother's blankets, looking very annoyed. "This is unacceptable," Yuna said for the 10th time that morning. "I am royalty. I should not be hiding in a primitive dwelling on an unregistered world." Taiho brought her a cup of soup. "Your ship is broken. Your emergency signal is weak. You said rescue could take days or weeks. So for now, this primitive dwelling is your home." Yuna took the soup. She looked at it with suspicion, then drank it slowly. Her expression changed. "This is acceptable. It's my mother's recipe. She made it when I was sick as a child." Yuna was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke again, softer this time. "I have not thanked you properly for saving my life. You don't need to thank me." "Yes, I do. Among my people, a blood debt is the most serious thing that can exist. You gave me your blood without knowing me, without wanting anything in return. This is..." She stopped, searching for words. "This is not how the galaxy works." Taiho sat down in his chair. "How does the galaxy work? Everyone wants something. Every action has a price. Every gift has a condition. That is how it has been for millions of years. But you just helped. That's how humans work," Taiho said simply. Sometimes we just help." Yuna stared at him like he had said something impossible. The door opened loudly. A woman walked in without knocking. She had short hair and sharp eyes and the same face shape as Taiho. "Brother," she said, "why is there an alien spaceship in the forest? And why did you not tell me immediately?" This was Yunji, Taiho's younger sister. She was a veterinarian in the next town. She was also the most curious person Taiho had ever known. And keeping secrets from her was impossible. Yunji looked at Yuna. Yuna looked at Yunji. Neither of them blinked. "She's a princess," Taiho explained. "From space. I saved her life with a blood transfusion. Apparently, I'm now bonded to her by ancient alien law." Yunji nodded slowly. "Okay, I have questions. Many questions. But first, let me check her injuries. You are a healer?" Yuna asked. "I'm a veterinarian. I treat animals." Yuna's eyes went cold. "You dare compare me to... Right now, you're the only alien I've ever seen. So yes, you count as an exotic animal. Now hold still and let me look at that wound." Taiho expected Yuna to refuse. Instead, she watched Yunji with something like respect. "You are not afraid of me. Should I be? Most beings fear the Vel. We have conquered many worlds." Yunji smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "I once performed surgery on a tiger that was awake and angry. You don't scare me, princess." For the first time since the crash, Yuna laughed. It was a small sound, surprised and genuine. "I think I like your sister," she said to Taiho. Over the next 2 days, Yunji became part of their strange group. She used her medical knowledge to help Yuna heal faster. She asked hundreds of questions about Vel biology, about space, about other planets. Yuna answered some of them. She refused to answer others. But one question kept coming up, and Yuna never gave a complete answer. Who had attacked her? "My ship was on a diplomatic mission," Yuna said on the third night. They were eating dinner together. Taiho had made rice and vegetables. Yuna had discovered that she loved Korean food. "We were traveling between star systems when we were ambushed." "By who?" Yunji asked. "Enemies of my family. There are those who believe the Vel throne should not exist. They want to destroy the royal bloodline." Yuna's violet eyes were dark with old anger. "They have tried before. They will try again. Are they still looking for you?" Taiho asked. Yuna hesitated. "My emergency beacon is damaged. It sends a weak signal. If my people can detect it, then perhaps." She did not finish the sentence. Taiho understood. If her people could find her, so could her enemies. The next morning, Taiho was outside, checking the weather. The mountains were covered in fog, and the air was cold. Winter was coming soon. He heard a sound. A high, thin humming, like an insect made of metal. He looked up. Something was flying above the trees. It was small, about the size of a bird, but its shape was wrong. It moved too smoothly, and it was scanning the area with a blue light. A drone. An alien drone. Taiho ran inside. "Yuna, there's something outside." Yuna tried to stand, but she was too weak. "Describe it." "Small, flying, blue light." Her face went white. "A scout drone." "They found me." Yunji grabbed a kitchen knife. "How do we stop it?" "You cannot. It has already transmitted our location. My enemies know where I am." Taiho made a decision. He ran to his bedroom closet and pulled out his hunting rifle. His father had taught him to shoot when he was young. He had not used the rifle in years, but his hands remembered. He went outside. The drone was hovering lower now, still scanning. Its blue light swept across the yard. Taiho raised the rifle. He took a breath. He aimed. He fired. The drone exploded into pieces of metal and light. For a moment, There was silence. Then Yunji ran outside, followed by Yuna, who was leaning against the wall. "You destroyed it," Yuna said. Her voice was strange. A human with a primitive weapon destroyed Vel technology. Was that bad? It was impressive. She paused. But it does not matter. The transmission was already sent. They know where we are. How long do we have? Yuna looked at the sky. Her violet eyes were filled with fear. Hours, maybe less. They will send soldiers. Many soldiers. And your world has nothing that can stop them. Taiho looked at his sister. Yunji looked back at him. They had grown up together. They had faced many problems together. But nothing like this. Then we need to hide, Taiho said. Until your rescue arrives. It may not arrive in time. Then we fight. Yuna stared at him. You would fight for me? Die for me? We have known each other for days. Taiho thought about this. He thought about why he had stopped at the crash. Why he had given his blood. Why he had brought her to his home. You needed help, he said. I could help. That's enough for me. Yuna was silent for a long moment. Then she spoke, and her voice was different, stronger, more like a princess and less like a patient. There is something you should know about the blood bond. It is not just a tradition. It is something real. When you gave me your blood, you gave me a piece of your life force. In return, I gave you something too. What? The protection of the Vel throne. Every resource. Every soldier. Every ship. If they come for you, they come for all of us. Her eyes met his. You saved my life, Taiho. Now, the entire Vel Empire owes you a debt. And we always pay our debts. Somewhere in the distance, a sound grew. A sound like thunder, but wrong. Too steady. The sky split open with light. 3 ships descended through the clouds above the Korean mountains. 2 of them were elegant, like silver leaves falling from a giant tree. The third was different. It was angular and dark, covered in sharp edges that looked like weapons. All over the world, people stopped what they were doing. They looked at their phones, their televisions, their computer screens. They saw the impossible. Alien ships entering Earth's atmosphere, heading toward a small village in Korea. First contact had arrived. And it was not peaceful. Taiho stood in front of his house with his rifle. Yunji was beside him, holding a hunting bow she had found in the storage room. Yuna stood behind them, still weak but standing on her own. The silver ships are mine, Yuna said, her voice tight. The dark one belongs to Lord Myungwoo. He leads the faction that attacked me. So we have help coming, Yunji said. If they arrive in time. The dark ship descended faster than the others. It landed in the field near the village with a sound like screaming metal. A door opened. Soldiers walked out. They were tall, taller than humans. Their skin was gray-blue, and their eyes were black. They wore armor that seemed to move on its own. They carried weapons that glowed with green light. The leader stepped forward. He looked at the small house, at the 3 people standing before it, and he laughed. This is what the princess has been reduced to? He said. His voice was deep and cruel. Hiding with primitives? How far the royal bloodline has fallen. Step away from this world, Yuna said. Her voice was commanding, even though her body was weak. This planet is under my protection. You have no authority here. You are wounded and alone. And that, he pointed at Taiho. That creature has broken our oldest laws by touching royal blood. He must be eliminated. Taiho raised his rifle. Try it. The soldiers laughed. One of them stepped forward, pointing his glowing weapon at Taiho. What is that primitive tool? A projectile weapon? Such things cannot harm Vel armor. You are. Taiho fired. The bullet hit the soldier's knee, where the armor was thin. The soldier screamed and fell. For a moment, nobody moved. The soldiers stared at their fallen comrade. They had not expected this. They had conquered hundreds of worlds. They had fought species with advanced technology. But this human, with his simple metal projectile, had actually hurt one of them. "Kill them," the leader ordered. "Kill them all." The soldiers charged. Taiho fired again and again. Yunji shot arrows that bounced off armor, but distracted the attackers. Yuna tried to use her powers, but she was too weak. She could only watch. Taiho was not a soldier. He was a paramedic. He had never been in a real battle, but something was happening inside him. His fear was still there, but it was not controlling him. Instead, he felt alive in a way he had never felt before. He dodged a glowing blade. He hit a soldier with the butt of his rifle. He grabbed a fallen alien weapon and figured out how to fire it in seconds. His body moved in ways he did not know it could move. His mind processed information faster than ever before. This was humanity's gift. This was what made them dangerous. Not their technology, not their strength, but their ability to adapt, to learn, to overcome. A soldier grabbed Yuna. Taiho saw it from the corner of his eye. Without thinking, he threw himself at the soldier, tackling him to the ground. They rolled in the dirt, fighting for control. The soldier was stronger. He pinned Taiho down. His black eyes showed no emotion as he raised his blade. Then a beam of light struck him from above. The silver ships had arrived. Soldiers poured out of them, fighting the gray-blue attackers. The leader of the rescue was an old man with white hair and kind eyes. He moved through the battle like water, defeating enemies with graceful movements. In minutes, the battle was over. The attackers were defeated. Their leader was captured. The dark ship was surrounded. The old man walked toward Taiho, who was lying on the ground, bleeding from several cuts. The man looked at Taiho for a long moment. Then he did something that shocked everyone watching. He knelt, a Vel Admiral, a warrior who had fought for 700 years, knelt before a human paramedic from a mountain village. "I am Admiral Gisu," the old man said. "I have served the throne of Vel for longer than your civilization has existed. In all that time, I have never seen anyone fight as you did today." Taiho tried to speak, but his body was failing. He had lost too much blood again. He had given too much of himself. "You protected the princess," Admiral Gisu continued. "You stood against trained Vel soldiers with nothing but primitive weapons and raw courage. 2 of our enemies died by your hand. I just..." Taiho's vision was going dark. "You are blood sworn to the princess. That makes you family. And the Vel protect their family." The Admiral stood and gave orders to his soldiers. "Take him to the medical bay. Use the best equipment. Save him at any cost." Yuna rushed to Taiho's side. "You foolish human," she whispered. "You almost died for me. Again." Taiho managed a weak smile. "Have it," he said. Then he lost consciousness. He woke on a ship. The room was beautiful, all smooth curves and soft light. Yunji was sitting beside his bed, looking tired but relieved. "You scared me," she said. "You almost died. I'm still here." "Yes, you are." She smiled, but there were tears in her eyes. "The whole world saw what happened, Taiho. Every news station is showing it. First contact with aliens. A battle in Korea. And you, standing against them with Dad's old rifle." Taiho closed his eyes. "What happens now?" "Now, we go to meet the Empress." Yuna entered the room. She was dressed in royal clothes now, looking every bit the princess she was. But her eyes were soft when she looked at Taiho. "My mother wishes to see the human who saved her daughter. The human who killed 2 Vel warriors with primitive weapons. The human who started a blood bond that has not existed for 10,000 years. Is that good or bad? Yuna hesitated. I honestly do not know. My mother is old and wise, but she is also unpredictable. She may reward you. She may test you. She may decide you are too dangerous to live. Yunji stood up. Then I'm coming too. This is not your fight, Yuna said. He's my brother. Where he goes, I go. That's how humans work. Yuna looked at the two siblings. She had lived for nearly 200 years. She had met thousands of species across the galaxy, but she had never met beings like these. Beings who would die for strangers, who would fight impossible battles, who would follow each other into the unknown simply because they were family. Very well, she said finally. But I warn you, the Velcourt is not like your world. There are rules and traditions and dangers you cannot imagine. Taiho sat up in his bed. His body hurt everywhere, but he forced himself to stand. Then we'll learn. We'll adapt. That's what we do. Through the window of the ship, Earth grew smaller and smaller. The blue marble that held all of human history was becoming just another dot among the stars. Taiho watched it disappear. He thought about his simple life, his quiet village, his peaceful job. All of that was gone now. He was going to meet an empress who was older than human civilization. He was going to stand in a court that ruled 1,000 worlds, but he was not afraid. He had already fought aliens and survived. He had already changed galactic history. And he had done it not with superpowers or advanced technology, but with simple human stubbornness. Whatever came next, he would face it the same way, one step at a time. The Vel homeworld was beautiful and terrifying. Taiho stood at the window of the ship and watched as they descended through layers of clouds. Below, cities stretched across the land like gardens made of crystal and light. Towers reached into the sky, thin and graceful, connected by bridges that seemed to float on air. Rivers of silver water flowed between buildings. Ships moved everywhere, like fish swimming through an invisible ocean. This civilization was 50,000 years old. They had been building empires when humans were still living in caves. They had solved problems that Earth had not even discovered yet. And Taiho was here, a paramedic from a mountain village about to stand before their empress. Are you afraid? Yuna asked. She stood beside him, dressed in clothes of silver and white. She looked like a princess now, powerful and distant. But her eyes were still kind when she looked at him. Yes, Taiho admitted. But I learned a long time ago that being afraid doesn't mean you stop moving forward. That is a very human philosophy. It's the only one I know. The ship landed in the palace courtyard. Guards in shining armor lined the path to the entrance. Thousands of Vel watched from windows and balconies, all of them staring at the strange human who had saved their princess. Taiho walked beside Yuna. Unji walked behind them, her eyes moving everywhere, taking in every detail. She had brought a small notebook and was writing things down. Even now, facing an alien empire, she could not stop being curious. The palace interior was vast. The ceilings were so high that clouds actually formed near the top. Gardens grew on floating platforms. Water fell from impossible heights, creating mist that sparkled with rainbow light. They passed through hall after hall, each one more impressive than the last. Finally, they reached the throne room. It was a circular space, as large as a stadium. The walls were made of something that looked like frozen starlight. In the center, on a throne carved from a single perfect crystal, sat the Empress Dawn. She was old. Not in the way humans grew old, with wrinkled skin and bent backs. She was old in her eyes, in the weight of her presence, in the way the air itself seemed to bend around her. She had white hair that flowed like water and eyes that were deeper violet than Yuna's. Beside the throne stood a young man with cold eyes. This was Prince Hansol, Yuna's older brother. He looked at Taiho the way someone might look at an insect. Taiho walked forward. He stopped at the proper distance, as Yuna had taught him, and bowed deeply. "Rise, human," the Empress said. Her voice was soft but filled the entire room. "Let me look at the creature who has caused such complications." Taiho stood straight and met her eyes. He did not look away. Yuna had told him that showing fear to the Empress was the worst thing he could do. "You saved my daughter's life," Dowan said. "With your blood. You created a bond that has not existed for 10,000 years. Do you understand what you have done?" "I saved someone who needed help," Taiho said. "That's all I understood in that moment. That's all that mattered." Such simple thinking. Such primitive morality. The Empress leaned forward. "You did not ask what reward you would receive. You did not consider the political implications. You simply acted. Yes. Why?" Taiho thought about the question. He thought about all the complicated answers he could give. Then he chose the simple truth. Because I could. Because she was dying. Because helping people is what I do. The court was silent. Prince Hansel made a sound of disgust. "This is absurd. This creature is a primitive from an unregistered world. The blood bond should be dissolved immediately." "Dissolved?" Taiho looked at him. "What does that mean?" "It means you die," Hansol said, smiling coldly. "The bond can only be broken by the death of one party. Since my sister is royalty, you are the obvious choice." "Hansol." The Empress's voice was sharp. "You forget yourself. I speak the truth, Mother. This bond is an embarrassment. It suggests that our royal blood is compatible with this." Yunji stepped forward. "Your royal blood was dying. His blood saved it. Maybe you should focus less on embarrassment and more on gratitude." The court gasped. Nobody spoke to the prince that way. Hansol's face twisted with anger. "You dare. Enough." The Empress raised her hand, and silence fell immediately. She looked at Yunji with curiosity. "You are the sister?" "I am. You speak boldly for someone standing in my throne room." Yunji met her gaze. "My brother almost died twice to save your daughter. I think that earns me the right to speak." For a long moment, nobody breathed. Then the Empress laughed. It was a small sound, but genuine. "I see something in you humans," she said. "Something I have not seen in other species for a very long time. You are not afraid of us. You should be. We could destroy your world in an hour. But you are not afraid." "We're terrified," Taiho said honestly. "But we don't let that stop us." The Empress stood. She was tall, taller than any human. She walked down from her throne, step by slow step, until she stood directly in front of Taiho. "I have ruled for 900 years, she said quietly. "I have seen empires rise and fall. I have watched species evolve and go extinct. In all that time, I have never encountered a species quite like yours. Is that good or bad?" "That remains to be seen." She studied his face. "There is a prophecy, ancient beyond measure. It speaks of the red-blooded ones who would come from a forgotten corner of the galaxy. It says they would change everything. Most of my scholars dismissed it as myth. And now? Now, I am not so sure." She turned and walked back to her throne. "The blood bond is valid. It will not be dissolved. This human is under the protection of the throne of Vel." Hansol stepped forward. "Mother, this is a mistake. The discussion is ended." The Empress sat down. "However, the human must prove himself worthy of this honor. He will be tested in the ways of our court. He will learn our customs. And he will face Lord Myungwoo's faction in the Council of Stars." "Lord Myungwoo?" Yuna's voice was sharp. He is the one who tried to kill me. He should be executed. He has powerful allies. The evidence against him is not yet complete. Until then, he remains free. The Empress looked at Taiho. Can you face him? In our court, with our rules? Taiho thought about everything he had been through. The crash. The battle. The journey across the stars. He was tired. He was scared. He was completely out of his depth, but he had come too far to turn back. I can try, he said. Trying is not enough. Then I'll succeed. The Empress smiled. It was a cold smile, calculating and ancient. We shall see, human. We shall see. That night, Taiho sat in the quarters they had given him. The room was beautiful, but strange. The furniture moved when he approached. The walls changed color based on his mood. A window showed stars that were unfamiliar. Yunji sat beside him. That could have gone worse. It could have gone better. The Empress didn't kill you. That's something. Taiho laughed tiredly. Is that our standard now? Not getting killed? For now. Yunji put her hand on his shoulder. You know this isn't over, right? That prince hates you. Lord Myungwoo wants you dead. Half the court thinks you're an abomination. I know. So, what do we do? Taiho looked at the strange stars through his window. He thought about home, about his village, about the simple life he used to have thought. Then he thought about Yuna, about her kindness hidden behind royal pride, about the look on her face when he had stood between her and the soldiers, about what she had said, that no one had helped a Vel princess without wanting something in return for 10,000 years. We do what humans do, he said finally. We adapt. We learn. We survive. And when they push us, we push back harder. Yunji smiled. That's my brother. Somewhere in the palace, alarms began to sound. Shouts echoed through the halls. Soldiers ran past their door. Ho stood up immediately. What's happening? Yuna burst through the door, her face pale with fear. It's Lord Myungwoo. He's launched a coup. His forces are attacking the palace. My mother has been wounded. The ground shook. Explosions lit up the night sky outside. Taiho grabbed his sister's hand. Looks like they're pushing us already. Then let's push back. The palace was falling. Fire and smoke filled the ancient halls. Lord Myungwoo's soldiers fought against the royal guards. Explosions shook the crystal towers. The empire that had stood for 50,000 years was tearing itself apart in a single night. Taiho ran through the chaos with Yuna and Yunji. Around them, servants fled and soldiers died. The beautiful gardens burned. The floating platforms crashed to the ground. Where is the Empress? Taiho shouted over the noise. The medical wing, Yuna replied. Her voice was steady, but her eyes showed her fear. She was wounded in the first attack. My brother, Hansol? He joined Myungwoo. The words came out like knives. He betrayed us. He wants the throne for himself. They reached the medical wing. Guards stood at the doors, loyal soldiers who had not joined the rebellion. Inside, Empress Daoan lay on a bed of light. Her face was pale, and blood stained her silver robes. Mother. Yuna rushed to her side. The Empress opened her eyes. They were still sharp, still powerful, even now. Yuna, you should not be here. You should flee. I will not leave you. Stubborn child. The Empress looked past Yuna to Taiho. And the human. Still here. Still fighting. I'm not good at running away, Taiho said. No, I suspect you are not. The Empress tried to sit up, but fell back in pain. Myungwoo controls the palace. His ships surround the capital. The loyal fleets are too far away to help. Then we find another way, Taiho said. There is no other way. This is the end of my line. The end of 50,000 years of no. Taiho stepped forward. His voice was firm. I didn't come across the galaxy to watch everything fall apart. There has to be something we can do. The Empress looked at him for a long moment. Then she laughed weakly. Your stubbornness is remarkable. Very well, there is one thing. In the deep vaults below the palace, there are the old weapons. Things from the first age of our empire, too dangerous to use. Can they help us? Perhaps. But the vaults have been sealed for 3,000 years. No one knows how to open them. Show me anyway. Yuna led them down. Deeper and deeper they went, through tunnels that had not seen light in centuries. The sounds of battle faded. The air grew cold. Finally, they reached a massive door. It was covered in symbols that glowed faintly. This is the entrance, Yuna said. But the key was lost long ago. Taiho looked at the door. He looked at his hand, still marked with the scar from his blood transfusion. Something stirred in his mind. The blood bond, he said slowly. You said it was old, ancient. How ancient? Yuna's eyes widened. As old as the empire itself. As old as these vaults. Taiho pressed his hand against the door. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the symbols began to glow brighter. They turned from blue to red. The door shuttered dot, an open dot inside the vault, were things that Taiho could not understand. Weapons that seemed to bend light. Armor that moved like liquid. Ships that were frozen in time. But there was also something else. A record. Words carved into the walls. Ancient beyond measure. Yuna read them aloud, her voice shaking. When the throne falls and the blood runs cold, the red-blooded ones will come. From the forgotten world, they will bring what we have lost. Not weapons, not power, but the fire that once made us great. The prophecy, Yunji whispered. It's about us, Taiho realized. About humans. But what did you lose? What fire? Yuna looked at him. Her violet eyes were wet with tears. Compassion. We lost compassion. 50,000 years ago, we helped others simply because we could. We built an empire on kindness, not conquest. But over time, we forgot. We became cold, political, calculating. And humans remind you of what you used to be. Yes, she touched his face gently. You remind us of what we should be. There was no time for more words. The battle was still raging above. Taiho made a decision. We're not going to win this with weapons, he said. We're going to win it with something else. He took a deep breath and walked back up toward the chaos dot in the main hall. Lord Myungwoo had declared victory. His soldiers controlled the palace. Prince Hansel stood beside him, looking uncomfortable but committed. The old empress is dying, Myungwoo announced to his forces. The royal line is broken. A new age begins. Not yet. Everyone turned. Taiho walked into the hall. He was unarmed, unarmored, just a human in simple clothes. You, Myungwoo laughed. The pet human. Come to die? I came to talk. There is nothing to discuss. Yes, there is. Taiho looked around the hall. He looked at the soldiers on both sides. Loyal guards who had fought for the throne. Rebels who had fought against it. All of them wounded. All of them tired. All of them fell. I'm new here, Taiho said. His voice was calm. I don't understand your politics. I don't know your history. But I know this. You're all the same people. You're all Vel, and you're destroying yourselves. What do you know of our struggles, primitive? I know that I saved your princess without asking for anything in return. I know that I fought against impossible odds to protect her. I know that I came to this palace not as a conqueror, but as a guest. And I know that your empress, the one you're trying to overthrow, treated me with respect even though she had every reason not to. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Some soldiers looked uncertain. Taiho continued. On my world, we have a saying. The measure of a civilization is how it treats the helpless. The princess was helpless when I found her. Wounded, dying. I didn't know who she was. I just knew she needed help. So I helped. He looked directly at Myungwoo. Can you say the same? Would you help a stranger without expecting something in return? Myungwoo's face twisted with anger. Enough of this. Kill him. But the soldiers hesitated. They looked at Taiho, at this strange human who spoke of kindness in the middle of war. They thought about the things he was saying. One soldier lowered his weapon. Then another. Then 10 more. This is not what we wanted, one of them said. We wanted change. Not this. Not blood. Myungwoo screamed with rage. He grabbed a weapon and charged at Taiho. Taiho did not run. He waited until Myungwoo was close, then tackled him with all his strength. They crashed through a window and fell from the balcony. They hit the ground hard. Taiho felt bones break. Pain exploded through his body. But he held on. He held Myungwoo down, even as his vision went dark. Why? Myungwoo gasped. Why do you fight for them? Because it's right, Taiho whispered. Because someone has to. Then Yuna was there, with soldiers loyal to the throne. They pulled Myungwoo away and surrounded him. The coup was over. Taiho lay on the ground, broken and bleeding. Yoonji ran to his side, tears streaming down her face. Stay with me, she begged. Taiho, stay with me. Vel medics arrived. They worked on him with technology beyond human understanding. Hours passed. Days passed. When Taiho finally woke, he was in the medical wing. Sunlight streamed through the windows. Real sunlight, warm and golden. Yuna sat beside his bed. When she saw his eyes open, she smiled. It was the most beautiful smile he had ever seen. You're alive, she whispered. Hard to kill, he replied weakly. You saved us. Your words, your actions, they stopped the rebellion. Soldiers on both sides are talking about what you said. About kindness. About helping strangers. Did it work? Yes, she held his hand. The Empress has recovered. Myungwoo is imprisoned. Hansel has been exiled. And you? She paused. You have been given the highest honor our people can give. What honor? First blood. It means you are the first of your kind to be recognized by the throne of Vel. You are no longer just a human. You are one of us. Taiho looked at her. And Earth? Protected. Forever. No Vel ship will ever threaten your world. Your people are now allies of our empire. Taiho closed his eyes. He thought about everything that had happened. A crash in the forest. A dying stranger. A decision to help without asking why not. And now, humanity had a place among the stars. 6 months later, Taiho stood before the United Nations. The whole world watched as he explained what had happened. What was coming. What humanity needed to do. Beside him stood Yoonji, now Earth's leading expert on alien biology. Behind them, visible through the window, was a Vel embassy ship. A symbol of the alliance between two worlds. And watching from that ship, Princess Yuna smiled. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for too long. They had seen a primitive species on a small world and dismissed them. They had never imagined that these strange creatures, with their red blood and their stubborn hearts, would change everything. But Taiho had known. From the moment he had stopped his car on that quiet road, from the moment he had climbed into that broken ship, he had known. Helping others was never a weakness. It was the greatest strength of all. And now, the galaxy was about to learn what humanity could really do. Not with weapons. Not with technology. But with the simple, powerful truth that had carried them through millions of years of evolution. When someone